the light bothering you guys?
No, it doesn't bother me.
Okay.
You're
Just
good.
okay.
And then let me know when you guys are ready for Audacity.
It's just your
I'm sorry.
halo shining. Rob.
I do want to ask one question.
Oh, sure.
And this is just something I was thinking about, and this is just a conversation I wanted to have with you guys really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And is there a reason why we went to video format instead of instead of sticking to the audio format that we used to do?
I think it's because it's easier to read people. So you know, if you're not used to jumping in on somebody's conversation, you can kind of see when there's a break. So you can kind of, you know, handle the nuances of the conversation a little better. But other than that, I personally can't think of anything.
Yeah, I mean, because we could. I mean, if you prefer, we could switch.
No. I would. The reason why I was asking this is I was just thinking about. I wonder if it's easier for Shannon with editing if it was just audio.
No, in fact, I think it's better this way. Because I had last week, for some reason, my Snowball only recorded static. So I had to pull the audio off of our YouTube feed so that I could, or I had to have Josh do it so that I could edit the podcast. So it kind of saved us having the secondary recording function.
Okay, I'm not complaining, by the way. I'm just asking because that's something that I've always wanted to know, even when Josh was here.
It was also a Patreon thing. I think Josh wanted to do it for a Patreon so that we could, so that people could see our beautiful faces when we do this.
No, that makes sense.
So yeah.
Okay. Cool.
But yeah, let me go when you guys are ready for Audacity, and I'll give you the countdown.
I'm ready.
All
right. 3, 2, 1, go.
All right.
Alrighty.
Everyone good?
Yep.
Hello, and welcome to That Pixel Life. This is episode 46 for April 2nd, 2019, and this week we're going to cover some topics like Sony cutting all digital purchases from retail stores, which is very interesting. Jason Schreier wrote a article recently on Kotaku regarding Anthem and its difficulties and how they're not quite what you think they are, and we all found it fascinating and wanted to break that down a little bit. Borderlands 3 is actually happening and is upon us, and man, that was a rough launch, but you know, hey, Borderlands 3, I'm down, and we're gonna start getting into it. Endgame is upon us. Or as Doctor Strange says, we are in the end game now. So we are going to begin the MCU breakdown, all 21 movies ranked. We're going to break that out over the next 3 weeks. So we're going to get to the bottom 7 this week. And to have that discussion, I have Mr. Shannon Moore with me.
Hello, guys. I have a bit of a conundrum this week. I lost my USB drive with all my favorite porn files on it at a Chuck E. Cheese. So if you guys see one laying around, you know, just get it back to me, please.
Well, as long as you're making good games like Borderlands 3, I'm
all right
with it.
Okay, all right. Sure.
and also Mr. Robert Stumple.
Okay, so I have a statement to make.
If it's about losing a USB drive, Robbie.
No. Okay. I do not care that Russell Westbrook just got a 20-20-20 game.
Mm-hmm.
He is the worst. He is the worst teammate that's the best player that I've ever seen, and I would never want him on my team that I cheer for.
Well, you know, the thing about Russell Westbrook, and I'm sorry, we're doing sports for a second. The thing about Russell Westbrook is I appreciate someone that hates to lose as bad as he does.
Agreed.
Except when it hurts your team.
Yes.
And that's the problem with him is he hates to lose so badly, it goes to the part where he starts damaging his own team. And that's the problem I have with Russell.
Now, having 20 assists in a game, that's impressive. I'm not saying he's not impressive. He is probably one of the most physically gifted athletes I've ever seen on a court. Just seeing how quick he can jump and he can just accelerate down the court is incredible. But he has got to be one of the worst teammates I've ever seen. And I would never want him anywhere near my program or like I don't even cheer for a team really in the NBA. I'm just a fan of basketball and players. But like I just was watching tonight and he got a technical foul for hitting, like hitting Lance Stevenson's hands away because Lance was trying to check it, like hand check it, was trying to defend him. And he gets like frustrated and looks at the ref and like hits his hand away. I'm like, dude, you do this all the time.
Right.
Like you have so many technical fouls. So that is a quick aside of just frustration.
Well, and as long as we're talking sports, I want to give a shout out to Michigan State because I called that one right up at the betting window when I was in Vegas last weekend and said Duke has barely won against lesser teams for the last 2 games. I think Michigan State takes it this one and threw my money down on Sparty, and they came through for me. So thank you very much.
And Duke still almost won.
Yeah, but they did not, and I got paid. So hey.
Duke. So I'm a huge Syracuse fan, but I respect the hell out of Coach K and just Duke in general. This was probably the worst team with the best players I've ever seen Duke have. Like, they were not a good team. Like they were literally 330th in 3-point shooting. They were one of the best defensive teams, but they did not run offenses. Because Coach K had become the one and done team that he never wanted to be.
Well, and it was a shockingly. I don't know how we're still talking about sports, but I don't understand how Krzyzewski is not getting any bad press. Like, that was one of the worst coaching jobs I've ever seen.
Yeah,
I mean, just flat out, especially in an Elite Eight game. That was awful.
If you listen to the One Shining podcast on Bill Simmons's podcast network, it is specifically a college basketball podcast. They did rip Coach K a new one and said, dude, you're not running any plays. You're not calling anything. Like, you're just letting them go out and just play street ball. And, it worked for 3 games. But then they got caught up, facing Izzo, who is Mr. March. Like,
well, it works when you have, 3 of the top 5 picks in this year's NBA draft.
Yes.
That's just,
tell me Cassius Winston, though, doesn't look like a guy who only plays in a church league and calls his own fouls.
No, he's totally the guy at LA Fitness, totally like showing up in some jean shorts and a tank top to play games.
With a headband. With a headband. Yep. Always have to have a headband.
Exactly.
But no, and I'm sorry to belabor this, and then I will shut about sports, I promise, guys. But fun fact. Okay, since 2004, Izzo, Coach Izzo, the coach of Michigan State, has been to 6 Final Fours. Since 2004, Duke has been to 2 Final Fours. Syracuse has been to 3 Final Fours. And North Carolina has been to like 5 or 6 Final Fours. And I'm not saying, but Coach K also has like 2 national titles in that span too. But it's just funny to me how if you watch college basketball, that stat should shock you. That in 15 years, K has only been in the Final Four twice.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's also been there 30 years, so it's like the reputation,
Yeah.
But yeah.
Anyway, we'll shut up. I'm sorry, guys.
Sorry,
Shannon.
Now that we need to wake Shannon up. Sorry, Shannon. Yeah, that's what I thought. So,
I mean, he started this technically before we even started recording. True. It's his fault. Hey, so Robbie,
I try to go, hey, sports things. I know stuff. No, I can't. Nope. You threw me in the deep end. Now I drowned. I'm sorry.
It's okay, but I gave you information so you can go to the gym next time and you can talk about stuff. You can be like, hey, dude, did you know Coach K's only been to the Final Four 2 times in the last 15 years?
And then they're going to drop knowledge on me that I don't know, and then I'm going to be the idiot again.
But that's the conversation, man. You just throw what you know, and then you become friends, and then you learn stuff.
Yeah. True.
All right. What are we talking about first?
Well, first off, if anyone wants to follow us on Twitter, Pixel Life, all that fun stuff, get on our Facebook group. You won't talk MC2A basketball tournament there, but you will have a tournament of breakfast cereals, which I blame Robbie for making me buy a box of Cinnamon Toast Crunch this last week, and it was delicious. But
my wife bought 5 boxes of cereal this past week at the same time because of that stupid bracket.
Yep, I blame Robbie.
Which may have been the greatest thing I've ever done on the internet.
It was pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. It was.
And I've decided every year for March Madness, I'm going to have an arbitrary thing like that. And next year is going to be Disney movies. and because I want to do something that all my friends will get involved with, not just the sports guys or you know what I'm saying, or just the nerds.
Man, just the debate over what would be the 1 seeds for Disney movies.
No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that.
I mean, Moana's got to be a 1 seed.
No, I'm not doing this.
We just said we weren't going to open Pandora's box here. We already have.
I like how Robbie's just. People need to understand. Robbie's like glowering at me, yelling like, "We're not doing this. Stop it! Like you need to stop."
Because listen, here's the thing. It's Aladdin. It's Aladdin and his Little Mermaid is definitely 1 and 2 as 1 seeds, and so there is no debate there. But I'm not having this conversation because it will go on for an hour.
I mean, and then you got Moana, and then but never mind. Okay. Anyway, let's get moving into
let it go.
That's a 3 seed.
But see, and here's the thing: next year I can do 64 because there are so many Disney and Pixar movies. So because I only did 32 this year, I'll do 64 next year.
I was going to ask if you're going to put Pixar in there. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I'll do Disney and Pixar because they're technically.
Well, you could almost have that be 2 sides of the bracket, like Disney 1 side, Pixar 1 side.
That's a freaking great idea.
Yeah, see.
But is there 32? Is there 32 Pixar movies?
I don't think so.
Yeah, there's only like 8 that really count anyway. It's fine.
All right. So anyway,
first story we wanted to cover though was Sony confirming that it will prevent retailers from selling digital codes for their PS4 games starting yesterday, April 1st. It was originally Wario64 on Twitter caught a memo that was leaked out and which made it known. Originally, it looked like it was just going to be to GameStop, but Sony confirmed that it was to all major retailers. And I find this really, really interesting. I think it's like the first step it's the first time a major publisher like this has, or console manufacturer, I should say, has essentially taken the keys away from grandpa. They're like, no, you can't drive this car anymore. We're doing this.
Yeah, and I always thought that was weird. Like, why go to GameStop to buy a digital copy of a game that you can just buy online? Like, I never really understood that. But I mean, I guess that's another kick in the balls to GameStop, who also posted a $673 million loss for the year.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's just another downward. It's just another nail in GameStop's coffin.
So I have connections in GameStop, as most people know. I actually had an opportunity to talk to an area manager, a district manager, and a store manager about this. I actually was sent a screenshot of the memo, of another memo as well. I'm not gonna say what that memo said. It was just for me, but I will say that and then I'm not going to say my manager's names because I continue to like to hear information that no one else knows about. But I will say this move is not about GameStop. This move is about GOG. It's about Green Man Gaming.
Yep.
It's about all of these websites where you can get digital games for cheaper because people are hacking, they're stealing, and they're reselling these digital codes. This is a move that Sony is making because they're getting, like, essentially their games are being stolen and then sold for a quarter of the price that they're supposed to be sold for.
Yes, CD keys, all those types of things. Yeah.
So this is not some Shannon, I do not want to demean what you just said. The fact that GameStop had posted that much of a loss is a big deal that we can talk about in a second. But because I think that is a huge deal. It's the biggest loss they've ever had. But with this is more about Sony trying to lock down on these websites that are giving away free keys and stuff like that. And how it's going to directly affect GameStop. Okay, so when I was working at GameStop and I stopped working there, my last time working there was probably about 2 years ago. The last time me working there, they were still the what they're going to now, the currency that Sony sells, and they would sell this 2 years ago, it would be in $50 increments. It would not be in $60 increments. Mm-hmm. And so it would be you buy $50 and then you'd have to buy an additional 10 or something like that. Because here's the thing that a lot of people don't know about. If you buy digital at a retail store, you don't have to pay taxes on it. So if you buy a game there, if it's $59.99, it's literally $59.99. It is not $64 19 or whatever, depending on what state you live in. And so it would be, but it was really arbitrary and weird that you could only buy it in $50 increments. And so I'm curious, as far as the connection to GameStop, if they are going to allow Sony or GameStop to now sell $60 increments of currency instead of their random $50.
Yeah.
Because most of their games are $60.
Well, and it's also one of those things where, yeah, it would make more sense if they would just come out with like, this is good for one game. Like, period. You know, not necessarily even put a dollar amount to it. Kind of go U.S. Postal Service forever stamps with it. You know, just be like, this is good for a letter. This is good for a game. You know, it seems curious. It seems real dirty to me to be like, we sell you $50 cards and $100 cards. Guess you better buy a $100 card. Now you have $40 left over that I guess you better buy another $50 card to buy another game with. You know, it just
If they keep it the way it is, if they keep it the way it was, I'm going to be upset about this. Because now they're basically telling they're putting a hand behind the retailer's back, and they're screwing over like you're saying, they're screwing over the customer. However, maybe they'll change to, different increments. I mean, I don't know. I mean, look at Nintendo. Nintendo is weird too. It's like 10, 20, 30, like it's in $10 increments too. Like anyway, it's all weird on how this digital stuff works.
But I think beyond that, I think it speaks to the relevance of brick and mortar in today's console gaming world, or just gaming in general. I mean, sure, brick and mortar offers benefits to, say, parents, grandparents, people that aren't necessarily in the culture that, need advice, need direction, need to know what to pick up, what's good, what's bad, indifferent. But I think the relevancy of that, just with the presence of online reviews and let's plays and message boards and Twitter and everything else, is making that less and less important. And I think this is just kind of going, they're skating to where the puck is going, in a sense, to use another sports metaphor. I just don't think they need them anymore, or they certainly don't need them like they used to. I mean, sure, a lot of people still go out there and need some assistance. There's a lot of parents buying games for a lot of kids, but the resources that are available to them go far beyond the 19-year-old kid that's buying the counter at GameStop now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
what do you got, Shannon? You got anything else to add to that?
No, I mean, it's you guys pretty much said everything that I was going to say.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. You said it a lot more succinctly than I would have. So.
well, I mean, y'all didn't know that I had talked to those guys, so that helps. But go on.
Well, I was going to say, Shannon, if you'd like to meander to some additional points, I'm willing to sashay down those roads with you. So.
I don't know. I can't think of any right now. Let me get back to you in a little bit.
All right. Well, we can keep moving on, because the one thing I really want to talk about, which was a very interesting article that hit Kotaku this week, was Jason. What's that?
Hit today.
Oh, was it today? I thought it was yesterday.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it released today. It was so weird.
Man, and we are talking about the hottest news. Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Look at it. Today at 11 o'clock. Jason Schreier dropped an article basically that called How BioWare's Anthem Went Wrong on Kotaku. And it starts with one of the bigger kind of mind-blowing things. It says the game wasn't even supposed to be called Anthem. Just days before the annual E3 convention in June of 2017, when the storied studio BioWare would reveal its newest game, the plan had been to go with a different title, Beyond. They'd even printed Beyond t-shirts for the staff. But then apparently, people were too afraid of litigiousness, and I've stopped reading, by the way. People were too afraid. People were too afraid of litigiousness and whatnot, and they jumped to a name that probably 18 other studios couldn't say, hey, we've got a game with that in our title, and named it Anthem. And it just seems like that move right there is the story of this game in a microcosm. Like, just jumping, there seems to be, when you go through this article, there's just so much of things that were just like last minute decisions, complete overhauls, weird choices in development. I know Robbie's been anxious to break this one down, so why don't you pick up the ball and run with this one, Robbie?
So first of all, when I spoke about the game, a month and a half ago or whenever the heck it came out, I said I spoke incorrectly, and I assumed that EA had forced them to make a multiplayer game out of a single player game. Like, that was one of my assumptions. Right off the gate, Jason Schreier lists these questions that people had assumed, which was one of mine, and none of them were true. This had nothing to do with being forced to do anything. This had nothing to do with EA forcing BioWare into any hole, except for one, which I'll get to in a second. Because I went through the whole article, and it's a lot. Like, we're not going to be able to probably hit every point that is listed, but we can talk about this stuff a little bit as we go down the list. First of all, let's just talk about this. The game went through 4 different head writers. It went through 4 or 5 different visions, and not until I think that the thing was not until like 4 months until release did they actually have a vision of what this game was. Assess.
Which is insane to me.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, that whole article, it just blows my mind how important a name or an idea is to the developers of a game. Like, talking about like how this game was in development for like 5 years.
7.
Or was it 7? Okay, so
yeah.
7 years, and then the first 5 were basically negated when they changed that name at that show.
At the E3 that we were at.
Yeah.
When it went from Beyond to Anthem, everybody was like, well, shit, like everything that we did before had a meaning, like, because it was beyond the gates of this town. It was beyond.
I loved that.
And like, you could tell that people were passionate about it and that they loved this property that they were creating. And when it went to Anthem, it lost all of its identity and it went straight back to the square one. Like, they had to rewrite everything. And you could see in that article like what it did to the staff with like the BioWare, like the stress effect, and like how they were talking about how, on other games it had been bad, but it had been something that BioWare employees kind of realized was part of the process. Whereas this, it became more of a toxic culture for the developers for that series. Yeah. And it started to bring a lot of the troubles that BioWare was having as a company to the surface. And, I think this game just kind of, it everything that was wrong with BioWare, like, hit on this game, like on the work of this game. So it just, like, if you're looking at one point, it boggles my mind how important like an identity for your creators is when you're making a game. Like, that's what I saw.
What I'm going to try to do is I'm going to give the Cliff Notes version of the story of the narrative of the time period. So from what I remember, and if someone reads the article and like, oh, Robbie, you missed this, like, I'm sorry, this is all from the top of my head. If I remember correctly, during Dragon Age Inquisition being developed, they formed a small team and they started developing what this game would be, and it was called Dylan because they wanted it to be called the Bob Dylan of games. They wanted to be innovative and be different, be transcendent type of game. Which, hey, that's what BioWare's been doing since day freaking 1, so that makes sense. So then and I'm not going to give years, I'm just going to give you the narrative. So this game starts being developed. Dragon Age Inquisition is on a huge crunch. There's a bunch of technical issues that we probably didn't even see behind closed doors, but it's a huge hit, and it does a lot of good. So this team starts growing because the Dragon Age Inquisition team comes in. Then all of a sudden, the head writer who had been developing the core ideas says, hey, this is a great core concept. I think we have some awesome stuff here. I'm out of here. Deuces. He leaves. Then they move forward, and they're like, the new head guy comes in, and they're like, okay, well, these are some great concepts. How the hell are you going to do them? Like, how is this possible? Like, it's almost like if it's almost in the Parks and Rec episode where Aziz Ansari's character is trying to find new business ideas. And he's like, hey, I have a great idea. What if we had LASIK for our fingernails? You take a laser and you cut your fingernails, you never have to cut them again. And he's like, oh, do you know how to do that? No, we need to find someone who can do that. Like, that's like, so like it kind of sounded like that. Like they had these awesome concepts, but no idea how to do it.
And the concepts were things, you know, like it was like, there's insane monsters out there and you'll get raging electrical storms that you'll have to survive and the weather will change on the fly and like all this like really high power, high concept stuff that, you know, because they all were like, you know, with the full graphic package to go along with it. It was just like, yeah, it was a lot of potential. That's the word that kept coming up that in the article was just so much potential.
And so just to say this also, so 6 of the 7 years of development, they had no idea how they were going to traverse through the world. They had no idea how people were going to go from point A to point B. Just keep that in mind. So then they keep moving forward. They're starting to Andromeda is starting to kick up on development as well. So the team that is working on this work on Anthem is still a decent size. A couple of other studios are jumping on, but then Andromeda is kind of this needing help as well. So it's a flaming pile of garbage as well, mixed with this flaming pile of potential garbage over here. Then another lead writer leaves, and they still don't have a vision of what the purpose of the game is. So then they continue, years go by, and there is constant headbutting, arguing, not knowing vision of what's going on in this game and what the game is supposed to be. So then fast forward to they had to take a demo to Peter, whatever his name is, the head of EA. And they took him a demo and he said, this sucks. I don't want, like, this is a bad game. Go back and fix it. So let's pause right there. And I'm going to throw in this information that I wanted to discuss for a second. Up to this demo, they, you know, it's obvious that there's a bunch of turmoil. There's a bunch of issues. People are leaving. People are gone. EA, this is the only thing that EA forced on them, and it continues for the 3rd freaking game in a row to be a problem. They force their developers to use the Frostbite engine, and it's not made for these kind of games. Assess.
Well, I mean, that's the thing that, you know, it's the line that started the Frostbite part of the article, and they used it over and over again. It's just Frostbite is full of razor blades. I
like that.
And the thing is like, I understand why EA would want to use Frostbite. It's an in-house engine. It is very pretty when done correctly. It works for shooters and things like that very well, like Battlefield is proven. And they don't have to pay any licensing fees to anyone to use it. So it makes sense. It's like, sure, go do this. Now, the problem is it's not made for the game you're making. And so you need a team to go do this. Now, it's, you know, the epics of the world with the Unreal Engine and you know, I'm blanking on other engines at the moment because my daughter's screaming in the background, so I'm distracted. But they have in-house teams that they would send to studios to go fix things. You know, when they were making the first Gears of War, Epic sent out a team to have them fix the problems Microsoft was having to get the look right and to get the movement right and to get the action looking the way that the developer wanted it to look. And they, you know, sent a crash team in there and fixed it and got it, showed them everyone how to use it and what they needed to do to do that. It does not seem like EA has anyone like that. There is no Frostbite crash team that you can there's no Frostbite shock troops to call in and fix these problems. And so you're handing, you're essentially handing a fully weaponized assault rifle to a completely untrained civilian and go, yeah, go shoot a bunch of stuff. Guess what? You're going to hurt yourself real bad if you don't know how to do that. And so that's essentially what happened to these developers. And it's like they got this whole thing that they don't really know how to use. That's incredibly powerful, that they're spending twice as much time to fix their problems and learn from them than they are developing the game that they're supposed to be working on. It's just mind blowing to me that there is And if there is a team like this, they all need to be fired and replaced because they obviously didn't do a good job. It's insane to me that this is the process.
Yeah, and I think that's the other thing is EA suffers from like putting out their main moneymakers are just games that they kind of tweak here and there over the years, but for the most part stays pretty much the same. Like, you know, Madden, FIFA, like all those games, they're the moneymakers. They're not pushing the envelope graphically. I mean, granted, there have been some graphical improvements, but for the most part, like there's not a lot there that needs to change. And I think that they apply that to a lot of their other games. Like if you want something that's going to push the envelope and you want something that's going to go down in like the history books as like an amazing game or something that's going to push that envelope, like you need to have the technology to do it. And if you have these lofty goals, like in the engine that you're using isn't cutting it or people are struggling with it, I think you should have enough humility to maybe go out and either create a new system that's easier for your developers to use or you know, find something that is more user friendly to them to ensure that your product is great. Like don't try to shoehorn something into something because it like it's going to save you a couple pennies on the front. It's going to kill you on the back end. And like I don't understand why EA doesn't get that, like, you know, doesn't understand that philosophy, or do they just choose to ignore it because they're too big?
No, that's a great point, Shannon, and I think it's the latter. They don't care because they'd rather save money, and they're just like it's almost like this is a poor example, but it's the only one I can think of off the top of my head. It's like if you're a kid and you're struggling with math. And you're struggling with math in one of your classes, and you come home and you continue to bring your parents these bad grades, and your teacher tells you, hey, you need to practice at home with somebody, and you go to your parents and you say, I keep failing because I need to practice at home. Will you help me? And the parents say, no, we're not going to help you. Figure it out on your own. And it's almost like that. Like EA is like, no, just figure it out. Or that's how it came across.
Well, or maybe to add on to this metaphor a little bit, it's more like your parents go, sure, no problem, we'll get you a tutor. And the tutor happens to also be tutoring 40 other people and doesn't have any time to really help you. That seems like what the issue is here. There was no dedicated Frostbite team for Anthem. There's like just this one group of people that are helping every title of every developer. They made it sound like an emergency.
They made it sound like an emergency team, like a group of 5 guys who just show up in hazmat suits and just try to fix it.
Exactly.
But the other 2 pieces that I just found incredibly interesting, and I hope that I don't lose them in my head. But one was that the huge group, the huge team back in 2017 who are now like. They're able to now start focusing on Anthem because Andromeda has released and it's a pile of garbage. Apparently, he said that the whole team saw this playthrough on the E3 stage with it called Anthem, and that was the first moment that they actually saw what the game was supposed to be. And, I thought that was incredibly telling. And then the second thing, I'm glad I didn't forget this. Apparently, Flight. The thing that is in Anthem that makes Anthem so different, Flight was taken in and out of the game like 6 times because people could not decide on whether they actually wanted Flight to be in the game.
Which is insane when you read the article because that was the main concept. It was like, like a lower tech Iron Man, like in outer space. This is our main concept.
Iron Man with NASA. That was one of the things that they said.
And it's like, so flying and shooting in suits. Got it. No problem. Like, what?
But the biggest thing that made me laugh out loud was the line that said, one of the past worker developers at BioWare said, the worst thing that could have happened to us was Dragon Age Inquisition being a success. Mm-hmm. And because that game was successful. Because apparently they had a huge tumultuous development cycle as well. It was a huge crunch. There was a bunch of issues, but because that game did so well and won Game of the Year at the Game Awards, that gave EA the indication that it doesn't matter. BioWare can make anything come together at the last minute. And that's how we got to the Andromeda situation that we got, and in turn got to this situation. And so like, and after reading that article, it really just made me think, okay, EA sucks for forcing their freaking engine on them. However, BioWare kind of is in a sucky situation because they can't seem to find a vision for their games anymore.
Well, you're
because if you read the article, they said the same thing about Andromeda. Like Andromeda didn't have a vision until like 9 months out.
I think their ideas are too big. Like, you know, it's like
No Man's Sky, kind of like.
Yeah, it's like, you know, if you read this, it's like, you know, they had all these concepts that they wanted to get into the game, but you know, there was so much stuff, and I think they underestimated how intensive it was going to take, or how intensive it was going to be to get these ideas to work the way that they wanted them to with the tech that had available to them. So I think what they needed to do is kind of scale back and make it more Destiny-esque with flight, you know, with more permanent flight.
Oh, that was another one of my favorite parts was when their team was like, we were told definitively this isn't Destiny, and then the one developer was like, yeah, but it kind of is.
And they didn't want to talk about Destiny. They didn't want to discuss, okay, what is Destiny doing right that we can do as well? Like, that goes back to what I was talking about, the parents, like, figure it out. Like, they didn't want to hear that there was a problem or there was a way that they could do things better because someone else had already done it. Like, and so it goes back to what we had talked about when we first played Anthem. It felt like they hadn't learned anything from Destiny. And the reason is because they never talked about Destiny.
Which is insane to me, because that was like literally the first thing we said coming out of that E3 was, oh, it's fun Destiny. That sounds cool. Let's do that.
And then looking at some of the concept art that you see throughout the article, like, man, if that would have been the game. Man,
the volcano area.
Yeah. Or even the ridge, or even the huge mountain ridge that had the waterfall cascading down both sides. Like, I don't know, man. It just, again, like, this game is going to win everybody's most disappointing game of the year. Like, this is going to be, and the reason is because it's another just situation of EA forcing their crappy engine. And I'm sorry, I'm not a tech guy. I don't know. I'm not a developer. I've never heard anything good about Frostbite except for it's pretty. And so, and you've got that, and then just BioWare, man, just because there wasn't even, like, even Andromeda didn't even have a great story.
No.
Like, Andromeda didn't even have great characters. It had the best Krogan character of the series, but if that's the only thing I can say, like, that's a problem. And so, and so, like, the saddest part about that article, besides all the negativity about Anthem, was reading that, we know it's back on, but all the Dragon Age 4 stuff that they had done up to that point, up until last year, has been cast away, and they've started over. Like, that bums me out. Yeah. So, like, we're not even close. Like, I'm not going to get a freaking Dragon Age game for like another 4 or 5 years.
But if the reality is, if Anthem playing out this way makes them stop and reassess what they're doing, that's probably for the best.
Agreed. You're right.
Because they even reference it in the article where, I think everyone, BioWare and EA included, just had it in their brains that, like, this is how BioWare does things, and it all comes together at the end, and it's great. And then Andromeda came out, and it didn't happen. And then Anthem came out, and it didn't happen. And it's like, oh, maybe we need to fix this now, because it isn't just coming out great anymore. Yeah. I still have, I sound like a broken record on this one. I still have some modicum of hope that Anthem is fixable, because there are good pieces in Anthem. There are good chunks in Anthem that are buildable. And if they really roll this game with the plan of it's going to be around for a year or two, it's fixable. It is. I mean, there are problems that, sure, like, you need Anthem 2 to fix them. But for this game as it exists right now, there are things that they could patch in to help it along the way. I hope they get the resources to do it. That's all at this point, because man, like it's two things. I don't think anyone saw, even with all the internal struggle, I don't think anyone saw the final product coming out this haphazardly, and no one saw Apex Legends coming. No one did. And so you have this runaway success story that is the biggest game in the world right now, and EA going, well, I've got 2 kids. One of them's an A student and one of them's a D student. I think I'm going to support that one that goes to college. That one that keeps going in and out of jail. Maybe I should let him sit in jail for a little bit this time. Maybe he'll learn. Like I don't know, man. It's just a real hard place for them to be in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't have anything else to say. I mean, I hope they continue to support it and give it that love. And, I want to be optimistic about it because I want to get back into that game. Like from when I played about it, I liked it. I want there to be more to it.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think they're going to let it out there and rot. I think it's just going to rot.
Well, I mean, Jason, finish that article, Shannon. Like, I think you should read the second half of it because it's still just continues to be very insightful. But he does say at the end that that Schreier spoke to certain Bioware people who were on staff that felt optimistic that they could fix things given time, like that they are still optimistic and they want to fix things, But then Bioware comes out and gives the most heinous, idiotic statement about the article. Like I don't know. I was just this. I'm no longer super excited for a possible Dragon Age because I don't know if I want BioWare making games anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the thing and
that's sad because BioWare has made some of my favorite games of all time.
And it's what we've discussed before, though.
Yeah.
The BioWare that made those games that you love doesn't exist anymore. It just doesn't. Like half those, almost all the players have left. Like sure, the studio still exists, but the people that made up those studios have all changed.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like it was a hellacious process, and I think most of them should have left under those conditions. Like it was bad. It was real bad. I mean, they were talking about, what did they say? Emotional burnout.
Mm-hmm.
And people would just leave for a month or 3 and sometimes come back, sometimes not. It's like, how can you expect people to create in those situations and be successful when they're that bad? It's
if you have to go find a room to cry in.
Yeah. Like that's
problems.
That's not working conditions. That's just torture,
Yeah.
So, oh well. Unfortunately that is Anthem still. So I'd love to be, a year from now talking about the great rebound story that is Anthem, and hopefully we'll get to.
And tagging up on that, now EA has also laid off 350 people. Do you think that's a result of some of the faux pas of this year, or do you think this is like a precursor of something else to come?
So I don't feel that. So when looking at the layoffs, they seem to, a majority of them have been in their media department and PR. And what that says to me more than anything about EA struggles this year is they probably aren't doing much at E3 and won't be in any time coming. Because
who's that? Say that again. I'm sorry.
I said with the cut downs they've had in the media
EA,
and PR, I don't think EA is doing much at E3 is what that tells me.
We'll probably see Fallen Order.
Yeah.
Like Fallen Order is supposed to come out this year. So, I mean, I would expect to at least see a trailer for that.
But it was one of those things like, are they, I mean, they're supposed to be having another E3 centered broadcast, right? But like, we haven't heard any details about that as far as I know. And so it might be one of those things where they're just choosing to pull it all back a little bit because of the way the year has played out, maybe refocus, reconfigure themselves until they're ready. So You don't really need a big PR and media presence when you're not showing much.
It's gonna be like 10 people there in Madden jerseys, like just letting people
Right.
play the new Madden. That's pretty much it.
It's like, hey guys, you like FIFA, right?
Yeah.
I got soccer balls, y'all. But yeah,
Wow.
E3 is in a real weird place. Or E3, E3 is, but EA is in a very weird place. So it'll be interesting to see what happens for the rest of 2019 for them. I am curious because it's still there's all this chaos happening, and then by the way, you have Apex Legends, like, which is insane to me that's like an EA property, an EA game that they're just trotting out there and making tons of cash with. But we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of game announcements, Borderlands 3 finally announced.
Yes.
And man, over all the stuff, we all have had our opinions about Gearbox and their Randy Pitchford and all that fun stuff. When I saw that trailer for Borderlands 3, the developer trailer they trotted out at PAX, I'm ready. Give it to me. Like, we're back. Like, I'm vault hunting. Let's do this. Like, I mean, the villains look sick. The new hunters looked awesome. I still love the look of Borderlands. I think it's one of the most just iconic looking game series around, just with that like almost rotoscope looking art style that they have. I can't wait to play some Borderlands 3. Are you guys also as big of Borderlands people as I am?
Yeah, dude. Like, I got such a murder boner for that game. It was not even funny. Like, I didn't even know I wanted a running gun until I saw the running gun. It's the stupidest thing, but it brings me so much joy just knowing that is there. Like, I was so hyped on seeing all that, and the fact that it's not another Fortnite knockoff or like another whatever you call those games, battle royale game. Like, it made me so happy. It was like the comfort food of video games for me. It was like a pepperoni pizza, a warm blanket, an empty day with like nothing to do. Like, it was just, like, I was so giddy when I saw it. And yeah, I was super stoked. And I don't know if you guys saw that there was like a whole bunch of hidden secrets in the teaser trailer.
The mask trailer.
Like there was like a whole bunch of like there were codes hidden in it, and there was braille in it, and there were like all these things that were giving people hints as to what the actual game was going to be about. Like, I'm all in it. Like, I want to know every little thing about this game before it comes out, and I want to know when it's going to come out. Like, give it to me now. Like, please.
So interestingly enough, there was a tweet yesterday off their main account that people they said could be an April Fool's, but it seems more likely that it was a mistake because the tweet just said Mayhem is coming September 13th and then got deleted like 5 minutes later. So maybe September 13th, possibly.
I mean, that game, it looks really far along. I mean, just from like what I saw and like the different worlds that they had, like the all the guns falling from the sky, like the action sequences, the monsters, it just seemed like it's so far along already. So I hope it's
the random Marcus Phoenix looking guy playing the saxophone.
Yeah, Brett. What's his name? He was the dude from the. He was from the. Oh shit! I'm gonna forget his name. From the first one. Brick? No. What was his name? Whatever.
Yeah.
The first original Vault Hunter.
Yeah. The guy, the punching guy. Right?
Yeah, like Punchy. Yeah. That's
But yeah, I was also on board with the guns with legs. Give me the running gun. I'm good with that. It's like the best version of a turret I've ever needed. You know?
I know. I am interested to see what the other Vault Hunters are going to be, if they're going to stick to like the more commando. Like, I know that there's definitely a Siren that's in there, which I was super stoked about, but she seemed more like a brawler than a shooter this time.
Was that the 18 legs or 18 arms coming out.
Yeah,
I mean.
yeah. So it looked like she was like they're kind of switching the roles up a little bit. Like they're still having like that siren thing going on there, and the way that it's tied into religion now, like it kind of seems like it's just kind of fulfilling that whole siren prophecy. Like so, it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But I liked Zero, and I didn't really see Zero in there at all for any of the returning characters, which I thought was kind of a letdown. But I'm interested to see what the other three Vault Hunters are going to be in this one.
I saw that. I did see that people had sussed out one of them was supposed to be like a Beastmaster kind of guy that you could keep pets with you.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, and I was like, all right, I'm good with that. I'm good with that plan. Like, kind of a little like a Diablo 2 Necromancer type of thing,
Yeah, that'd be dope. How about you, Robbie? Like, you just been sitting there, like,
yeah, it's just not my world. I'm not a big Borderlands fan.
What?
Yeah, okay.
You hurt me, Robbie. You hurt me.
I don't. It's not that I don't have anything bad to say. It's just when those games first came out, I never played them, and I've never gone back to play them, and so it's just kind of one of those things. Like I'm okay not playing those games. Like my perception of games is still what it is, regardless of regardless of playing Borderlands. I have nothing negative to say, but I look at those games kind of like a lot of those space exploration games that I've never played. It's just something that, hey, are really cool. Like I respect them, but I don't have any desire to play them. So I didn't want to be the negative Nancy who's like, yeah, this is stupid. So I just sat back and I was just like, I let y'all talk. I let y'all nerd out about it because it's cool to see that you guys are excited about it. I just don't have any desire to play it.
I mean, this is the it's the Diablo of like shooters. Like there's so much loot in these games. Like it is impossible to get bored with your guns because there's always so many different ones that do so many different things. And it's like I just like how absurd some of them are. Like, I mean, you want a gun that runs around and shoots? Yeah, we got that for you. You want one that's gonna you want a rocket launcher that's got like 6 rockets on it that like cycle around and each one does something weird? Yeah, we got that for you too. Like you want a gun that has that shoots acid? Yeah, we got that. I mean, like billions of guns, like billions of different opportunities. It's just it just makes me so happy to see this game coming back. You don't even know. Like I'm gonna put like 80 to 100 hours into this game. Easy
That's
peasy.
awesome.
Yeah, like it's just. I hope it like I'm just gonna reiterate. I hope it comes out soon. I hope it like they don't try to shoehorn a whole bunch of like of this massive multiplayer deathmatch stuff on the back end of it. Just like give me that dedicated story. That's all I want. That's all I ever like in my Borderlands game. Don't give me any of that space like jumpy like oxygen. Like don't detract from the experience that you have. You have a great framework with the game. Don't ruin it. Just keep it the way that it is. Don't touch perfection. Just give me the more guns. Just give me the next leg of the story, and let me just geek out and enjoy it. So, yeah, that's all I got to say about Borderlands 3. I think that's it for the news. I think Zach took off for a second. So,
do you want to move on to the game part?
Yeah. Let's just go into what we've been playing.
Okay.
You can go first. Do you have any games this week, Robbie?
Yeah, I do. I have a lot, and it's called Sekiro.
Oh, how is it treating you?
So you know how in relationships there will be that guy or girl, doesn't matter, just abusive, but you still stay with them. Because the guy has your CDs, so you can't leave because you don't want to lose. You don't want to give up your CDs. They just got that dark horse Nickelback CDs. I just really have to, I just can't, I can't get it back. So I got to stay with them. And yes, I understand that I stole that joke from Dane Cook from like 12 years ago, but it's still a hilarious joke. And he probably stole it from someone.
There you go.
I'm actually, I really like Dane Cook, but anyway, so yeah, okay. All joking aside, or actually one more joke, it is a very abusive game that I could just continue to go back to and say, I'm sorry, sweetie, it's my fault. Like I did it. I caused you to do that. I made you mad. I should have known better. Like that's, I should have known that this raging fire bull was going to beat the hell out of me if I got close to it. Like that's my fault. That's not your fault, sweet Sekiro. Like it's my fault. Okay, so I think I found a way. Hold on. I'm gonna continue talking, but I want to see if I can find how many hours I've put into this game.
Okay.
So I've beaten 8 bosses.
Okay.
All right, Zach's here, so let me say this again. We were talking about Sekiro. My boy Zach.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just explaining to Shannon here how Sekiro is that abusive relationship that you can't get out of because the abusive party has like your CDs and something arbitrary that you just can't get rid of. So
they've got your Dragon Ball Z Funkos.
Yes. They just, they've got some stuff that I can't get rid of. But anyway, I've beaten 8.
I like how I hate that you nailed me on that, but I'm going to move on.
Yeah. Yes, I have beaten 8 bosses in the game. I have wanted to say many, many, many bad words. I have died God knows how many freaking times. I guess there's no way to look at the time. I was hoping to start the game over and see if I could see how much time I've put into it. This game continues to be just a great Souls game. It also continues to be one of the hardest freaking games I have ever played, and in the best way possible. I do not think it's a bad thing at all. I think that what they've done and how they've made things difficult as far as how you play the game is important because it teaches you that you don't always get your way. Like you can't just go in, you can't figure the game out and then just do things the way you want all the time. Sometimes you have to be patient. Sometimes you have to obey the game's rules. And the game has rules and you've got to obey them. And I find that to be so awesome. Like y'all know that I've said this 1,000 times, but I didn't grow up playing, Nintendo or Sega games because we didn't have it in our house. So I never got to play the Metroid games. I never got to play the hard Contra 3 game until I became a teenager. So I don't have, but one of the hardest games I ever played before this is, it was on Xbox 360, Ninja Gaiden Black. Like that is the game I continue to go back to describe this. But okay, so I just beat my 8th boss. Which, by the way, I had to do this. This is a constant trend of what how Robbie played this game.
Mm-hmm.
I would go because basically I was at a point where I had 4 avenues. However, all 4 avenues involved a boss, and all 4 bosses beat the hell out of me, and I could not figure out a way to beat either of them. I could not figure out how to beat either of them, and so I'll own it. I went and saw a guide. I found a guide online. I was like, okay, I just need to beat one of these because every time you beat a boss, you get something of value, whether it's a prayer bead, which 4 prayer beads get your attack power up, or you get a memory. Memory takes your attack power up. Prayer beads does something else to help your, I think, vitality. Or you get a new prosthetic for your arm, or like you always get something for beating these bosses that take forever to realize how you beat them. And so I got to this point where I was just like, oh my gosh, can I just beat one of them? Because maybe if I beat this one, I can power up a little bit so then I can beat this one. And you know what I'm saying? So at this point, I've beaten all 4 bosses. I am now again at a loop where I can go to one boss, Lady Butterfly, who can just go eat a huge pile of crap. And then a new samurai that I don't even want to go face because I know he's just going to wreck my face. And so I'm in this. It's out of the fire or it's out of the frying pan into the fire kind of thing. But also, I just beat my 7th or 8th boss, like I said, and the game just added another element to it of gameplay. Like I have a new fighting style or combat art that I can go find because the game continues to give you so you can fight and you for the most part use R1 to do all the swinging. There is no R1 and R2 it has been in other games. R2 is your prosthetic. L2 is your grapple hook thing. But R1 and L1 is your block.
Okay.
But L1 and R1 together does a special swipe kind of move. It can either be like a swirling tornado of a hit. It can be like this chop down thing. But I just beat this fire bull thing, and they gave me a new combat art to learn. And that's several hours into the game. So the game continues to add on to itself. However, I've now hit the wall, the hard part of dying. And if it wasn't for, if I hadn't, okay, I'm sorry this is going to take so long. So basically in this game, the more times you die, first of all, the more likely one of the NPCs in the world is going to get this thing called dragon rot. And dragon rot will kill an NPC who maybe is a merchant or maybe gives you something special.
I was going to say, so it's taking away resources that indirectly would help you. But yeah. Okay.
But also what happens is there's this, remember in Bloodborne how there were these stats and you're like, what the heck does that mean?
Yeah.
And you still don't know, even after all these years, you still don't know what certain things were. Well, there's this thing called unseen aid. And unseen aid, and it says 30%. Unseen aid means basically after you die, if unseen aid comes in, you don't lose anything. You don't lose you don't use any skill level, you don't lose any money, because those are 2 things that you lose whenever you die. And the highest as of right now that you can get is 30%. I think that's the highest it can get is 30%. However, every time you get someone who one person gets dragon rot, it drops down to 15%.
Ooh.
A second person, 13%. A third person, 10%, and so on and so forth. So I got to the point, and there's no telling you when dragon rot's going to hit someone depending on how many times you die.
Oh,
and also I do know that it increases the chances of dragon rot if you resurrect yourself after every time you die. So sometimes I just accept the death and just go to the idol to start over. But anyway, I got to the point maybe about 3 or 4 hours, I don't know, maybe 5 hours ago in the game, I had 4 or 5 people who had dragon rot. And I was like, okay, I've got to fix this. I've got to do something. And then I remember an article being written on Kotaku about, hey, here's how you heal dragon rot. I didn't freaking know that you could heal the dragon rot. and so I'm at 8% unseen aid. I'm losing levels. I've probably lost 7 or 8 levels. I've probably lost thousands of dollars of money. I'm like MC Hammer over here with losing money. And so then I find out that all you have to do is go to the NPC that is diagnosed or has the dragon rot, take some blood from them, and take them to old girl at the main hub, and you can get a dragon rot droplet, and heal the whole world, and it heals everybody.
Oh, that's nice.
However, as always, you can only do it. There are only so many resources in the game that allow you to do it. So I've done it twice in the game so far, and I've probably put double-digit hours into the game. I've made a commitment to myself that I'm not going to do it again until I beat another 4 or 5 bosses, because I found a merchant like I bought a dragon droplet from a merchant that had one, and I used it, and then I was like, oh my gosh, this is so stupid. And because that's immediately what I said when I used it. It's like, oh my gosh, what if I never find a merchant that has another one of these? And then also like snap seeds is another like very, very rare item in the game, but you need them to defeat like a couple of bosses. So anyway, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to babble as long on this game. It's incredible. It's awesome. I don't know what other game I'm going to play after this. I may go play The Surge because it's free this month on PlayStation Plus.
Yeah, I was probably going to download that one too.
But no, this is I mean, probably as of right now, if it wasn't for Resident Evil 2, this would be my game of the year. Like, wow. It's awesome. It's just great. And it's not for everybody. Zach, you're going to love it. Yeah. Like, I know, like, the story has started, the world is starting to open up a little bit more too. And I just met my father. Like, I'm like, what? So anyway,
yeah, I'm at the point now where I'm literally just waiting till I have a couple of hours in a row that I can just sit and play it, because it's one of those, I know it's going to be the game where I don't want to just like fire it up, play for 45 minutes, put it down, come back. Like I don't play these games that way. And so I'm waiting for at least for my initial run to be a good couple hours in one sitting. So
yeah. All right. So I'll shut up and I'll let Shannon talk about what he's played.
So this week, I put my back out. So sitting and playing on the PlayStation was not something I could do. So I've been laying in bed using the Switch. So I downloaded World of Final Fantasy Maxima for the Switch, and I'm having fun playing that. For people who don't know, it's basically
I'm a person that doesn't know.
Okay, so it's basically a Final Fantasy game where you are these two, a brother and a sister, and you have no memory, surprise, of who you were, and you come to find out that you are you used to be these very powerful summoners, and you had this huge battle, and you were resurrected in this world, and your memories were erased, and you have to essentially figure out like what happened to you, and along the way recollect all of these monsters and summons that will help you along the way. So you have this cube that you carry around with you, and you can there's two different versions of yourself. There's like the regular like humanoid versions, and then there's like these small, almost they look almost like Funko Pop like characters or caricatures of yourself. And you can flip back and forth between them on the fly in the world. So some worlds that you go to, you're going to be these like small Funko Pop characters, but you can change into the real ones. And when you do, they get like freaked. Some of the people get freaked out by you, which is kind of cool because like the person you change between kind of affects the world that you're in. And then if you in other worlds, you'll be your regular size people, and then you can change to these like smaller figures, and people are like, what the hell, what's going on? So it's kind of cool to jump back and forth between them. You have this other different characteristic of a Final Fantasy game. Like usually you have things that you summon or magic spells. With this game, you get your magic spells through the animals and monsters that you catch. Also, depending on the person or the type of character you're playing, whether you're your giant form or your smaller form, there's a hierarchy of how things can stack on you. So when you're the smaller character, you're considered a medium-sized character. So you can have a large monster and a small monster, and you're the medium, so you're in the middle. So you can have something that stands on your head, and then you can ride on something. So like if you had if you had like a behemoth, or
so these are like literal then, like okay,
pretty much. Like I mean, like they stack, like you, and you have to think about how you want things to benefit you. Like if you want to get like a strong fire spell, if you wanted like a Fiag, or was it Viagra, or that? No, that's a like a
that's a little blue pill. But,
yeah. But anyway, if you wanted like Blizzaga or whatever, like you would have to find like 2 ice type monsters to stack together to make that spell for you.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of interesting to see the combinations that you can come up with, because basically everything in the world you can catch. So if you're looking for Earth type things, it's kind of like Pokemon set in a Final Fantasy world. And then if you're in your regular human form, you're considered large at that point, and then you can have a medium and a small stacked on your head.
Can you ride a chocobo? That's what I want to know.
I haven't gotten to that yet. There are chocobos in the game, and I have one that is standing on my head currently in one of my forms. But yeah, I don't know if you can ride them yet. They make it pretty easy. It's not really open world. It's more of a linear kind of thing where you have this gate that you jump through, and it kind of warps you to different places. So there's not a lot of exploring in between the missions, but you can revisit certain maps, and there were things that were unavailable at lower levels that you can go back and revisit. So it becomes a little bit more, it's not so much one and done with those stages. You can go back and revisit them and get more powerful monsters that you had to avoid the first time. So I'm only maybe like 5 or 6 hours into it. So we'll see how it goes from there. The other game that's been eating up the majority of my time is it's a new mobile game by Bethesda. It's the Elder Scrolls Blades early release.
Okay.
So
I got into that too, but I haven't had time to play
it. Yeah.
I made a character. That's about what I did.
Oh, that's good, because when I downloaded it, I got a notification on Friday saying Elder Scrolls is available for you in your shop, since you put it down as you wanted to download early access. So I downloaded it, and I was all excited to try it out and play it. And I got a screen that says it's a limited release, and in order to ensure that everybody gets the best quality, we're doing a slow rollout on early access. So turn on your alerts, and we'll let you know when you can come in and play the game. Mind you, I downloaded the game on Friday. I didn't have a chance to actually open it up and play the game itself until Monday. It was like a super slow rollout for them, I guess. So I finally got into it. I don't have any problems playing the game. I like the character generator. I like the fact that there's like a whole like basically everybody that you have run across in an Elder Scrolls game, you can basically, create in the character creator. And then you can also go back at pretty much any time if you get tired of the person that you are and change into a different character. Basically keep the same character in the stats, but just change your physical characteristics, which is cool. The one gripe I have about the game is the chests. So you have wooden chests, silver chests, and gold chests. The wooden chests take 5 seconds to unlock. So you get a whole slew of those like all the time. 5 seconds to unlock. Silver chest, the first silver chest I open, it takes you 3 hours to unlock a silver chest. So you go from 5 seconds to 3 hours. Like that's like your first jump. And then your gold chests are 6 hours. So I can see where they're going to try to get you, and it's going to be on buying the gems that's going to open up these chests, because
faster.
So either you spend 36 gems to open a chest, or you wait 3 hours if you want to do a silver chest. And then to build in your town, because your town is destroyed and you're basically like the hero of your town, and your job is to increase morale and to get people to want to come to your village so you can get better gear and better alchemy potions and all that stuff.
So it's Elder Scrolls Dark Cloud.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much. So it's like, it's just, it seems everything is around these gems. If you want to increase the amount of chests you can hold, because you can only hold 10 chests, and you can't open up the chests when you're. I don't think you can open them up when you're in the dungeons. So you have to wait until you get back to your town. So if you have 6 golden chests and you come across like 4 in the 4 like wooden chests, you're basically tapped out on chests. And then like if you find another one, it'll say, do you want to spend 10 green gems to like double your inventory, or give yourself 10 more slots. So it's kind of,
this is starting to make me feel gross.
Yeah, it's like everything. Yeah. It kind of sucks. Like, I mean, I can see if you want to play it, that's fine. But there's going to be chunks where you're just waiting for 3 hours to clear out your chests. Like, there's going to be a whole day dedicated to you just opening up silver chests. So that's kind of
crap out of here.
Yeah, that's kind of lame. But the combat, the movement, it's all fun. The leveling up and getting the abilities and the magic and all that stuff is fine. It reminds me of like a typical Elder Scrolls game. The graphics are decent for phones. But it just goes back to that Apple Arcade that we talked about last week. Like, if this is something that like, is this going to be something that's going to be on that platform? Is this like kind of like an early predicator of like what they're trying to do with that system? And I hope not. But it's just it's good. I mean, it's all right. It's a good game if you have some time to kill. But yeah, the 5 seconds to 3 hours, like that needs to change. Like if this is early release, like a silver chest should be maybe like an hour, and like a gold chest would be maybe 3 hours. Like I think that would be acceptable. But give it a try. Let me know what you think next week.
I will. I will.
But yeah, that's all I've been playing.
All right. Well, I mean, all I've been playing is just the same crap I've been playing, so we don't need to retread that ground. When we have the great Marvel Cinematic Universe rankings that we need to attack post with, because Endgame is upon us, and I feel like the only way we can properly assess where we're all at before Endgame happens is by sorting out the mess that has been the last 10 years of Marvel movies.
Yeah.
And there's 21 of them. We are going to knock out 7 of them this week. And I'm genuinely curious if we all have the same worst movie, because I think we should. Like, I'm pretty definitive on what the worst Marvel movie is. And I'm curious if you guys fall in the same line. So, Shannon, let's start with you. What's your worst? What's number 21?
Thor: The Dark World.
That is mine as well. Robbie, what's your 21st?
Actually,
Here we
you guys are right. It's Dark World.
Okay, I was gonna be like, okay, I'm willing to listen to arguments, but
yeah, I was like, here it goes. We're gonna start with some fire right away.
But, I guarantee you, and with my 7, we will argue. We're gonna argue. I just know we are.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
But just so we can touch on Thor: The Dark World,
it's not a bad movie.
But it's easily the most forgettable out of all of them.
Agreed.
It has the worst villain out of all of them. I couldn't even tell you what the Dark Elf's name is anymore. It was just, and it's always bad when your main villain of the story gets completely upstaged, and that's what happened in this movie. It's like Loki was the best villain in this movie, except he wasn't the villain in the movie.
They just had no idea what to do with Natalie Portman.
No,
and no wonder she never wants to return. Like, I wouldn't want to return either.
Yeah,
like she is probably a top 5, top 10 actress working right now as far as her ability, and they just completely ruined her. They wrote her off in Thor Ragnarok, which is fine.
Yeah,
but I was so disappointed in how they used her in this movie. And the actor who played the villain is Christopher Eccleston. I don't remember, but I do not remember, like you said, who the villain is. They had a cast change where Zachary Levi, who is Shazam, came in to play one of the Vanguard characters.
Yeah.
Like it. And if you read about the development of this film, like, it was just disjointed. They got rid of the director from the first one, didn't return.
Yep.
Which was a huge problem in the first place.
Well, and it seemed like they didn't know what to do with the franchise, like the Thor movies. Like, they were like, what are these movies? Are they fun, lighthearted? Are they dark and serious? It's like, what direction are we going with this?
I have very strong feelings in positive way about the first one.
Mm-hmm.
I have very strong feelings, but the second one, I think the second one comes off of what year did that come out? It's after Avengers, obviously.
Yeah. What year did that come out?
Of leading up to all these movies.
2013 is when that came out.
Okay, 2013.
I think it was the first movie after Avengers, I want to say.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I would say I think you're right.
Or that or Civil War. Or not Civil War, Winter Soldier.
I don't remember, but yeah,
it was the first quote unquote dud of the Marvel movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was the first one where we were like, okay, like
maybe these aren't all going to be really good.
yeah. Like I think the second one, but at the same time, here's what Thor: Dark World did do. Thor: Dark World is so, I can't believe I'm saying this. It may be one of the most important movies because it started to show us the Infinity Stones.
Mm-hmm.
Like we know the Tesseract is Infinity Stone, but at the time we had no idea because it was just a cube. But this is the first time that they acknowledge the Infinity Stones, and I think this is the first. At the end of this movie, I could be wrong, but at the end of Dark World, we see the two Vanguard characters go to the Collector.
Mm-hmm.
And deliver the Seether or whatever, deliver this to the Collector to keep it safe, which leads to Guardians of the Galaxy.
Exactly.
So this movie does play a huge role, but it's just very forgettable, like you said.
Okay, so definitively number 21, Thor: The Dark World. Number
100%.
20, I'm gonna make the case here that Iron Man 2 is worse than The Incredible Hulk.
Ooh.
I actually think that there's a movie worse than both of those.
Okay, lay it on me.
The first Captain America.
What? No way.
No, I will hardcore fight you on that.
Dude, you are smoking crack.
No, I am not, because just hear me out. Zach, you know that I don't ever have ridiculous thoughts without reasoning, okay? Just give me a second. I'm the same one who got you to put Tokyo Drift as the third best Fast movie. So just give me a second, okay?
You're right.
The first 45 minutes of Captain America is probably the best Marvel has written. It is the best character development. It is fantastic. We fall in love with this skinny kid who just can fight the world with no muscles and his just tenacity and love to help people. It is fantastic. Tommy Lee Jones is a revelation, because we hadn't seen him do anything of importance since U.S. Marshals with Wesley Snipes before this film. Okay, so
what, Men in Black? No.
Oh well, but wasn't U.S. Marshals after Men in Black 1?
I don't know.
Okay, you're right. You're right. Men in Black.
Anyway.
But I argue that the second half of this movie is a sprint to Avengers. There are two separate montages that just quickly get information out of the way. We don't have any development. We just see Captain America learn how to fight like a freaking ninja, and there's no explanation of how. There's a rush, and look, the reason why I call it a rush and the reason why I have such a problem with it is because I was so in love with the first half of the movie that the second half just does not feel the same. And Hugo Weaving's portrayal of Red Skull is abysmal. Like his acting,
I disagree.
His acting
is him as Red Skull.
His acting is so bad, and this guy has sworn off Disney. He will never work with Disney again because of this movie. Like, and I look, I understand that a lot of people hate Iron Man 2. I can defend Iron Man 2, even though it's still in the bottom 7.
Now, see, my whole thing is the first 45 minutes of Captain America are great. There aren't 45 good minutes of Iron Man 2. Like, that would be my argument against that. And secondly, Captain America gives me Peggy Carter, which is one of my all-time favorite characters, and Agent Carter,
who's completely underused.
Yeah, but the TV show was great, which also got canceled, which I was really bummed about. But the TV show was great. And I kind of disagree with you about the second half. Like, the second half had, like, their relationship. It had, the introduction of the Shield, which we can, kind of gloss over the fact that Howard Stark was like, this is the rarest thing in the world, and I made a shield out of it. what? Oh, okay. And you have it laying on the floor? Like, it's not even like in a case anywhere. Like when he picks it up and for the first time, it's like literally laying on the floor in this bunker. It's like, wait, what? This is like the most precious, rarest thing in the world, and it's like sitting in the dirt. Okay, whatever. But
they just took so much time to flesh out the characters in the first half of that movie. And look, like I love the montage of him playing the circus animal. Like I love that. Like that's awesome. But I hate that we didn't take time for.
I hear you. I hear you. But here's the main reason why I would disagree. I think this movie sets up Captain America, the character, as the strongest character in the MCU.
Agreed.
Like it lays all the groundwork out to make him the guy that you want to follow throughout these movies. And for that reason, I can't rank it this low.
And like just the fact that we don't spend any time with the gang of brothers,
the Howling Commando,
the Howling Commandos, and you know what? Here's the thing, Zach. If we didn't have Winter Soldier, I probably wouldn't feel this strong about it.
Sure.
But the fact that Winter Soldier is so I'm spoiler alert, it's my number one. Like I think it's the best Marvel movie. Like if we didn't have that, I probably wouldn't feel this strong about this. And look, I'm not even saying, like I don't even think that Marvel has made a bad movie. Like I could
no.
Like I could still watch Dark World probably anytime before I watch Batman vs Superman again. But
we're talking shades of gray here. But
yes, but I just okay, fine. We don't have to put it second to last. That's perfectly fine. But I will not put it any higher than the bottom 7. I just will not. I will not.
I am so disappointed in you, Robbie. Like,
I'm sorry, but I just will not.
I am like that is probably in my top. Like that is in the top side of my scale. Like,
that's my wife's. It's in my wife's top 5.
Yeah, it's in my top. It'd
be in my top 10. It'd probably be in my top 10.
But okay, look, you don't have to agree
it's just
with me.
outside. It's just outside the top 5.
You don't have to agree with me, but at least I'm not coming out saying because it sucks. Like I'm not.
No, that's fine.
Like
I understand your criticisms. I do. I get it. I think the strengths vastly outweigh the weaknesses of that movie. And I'm a person that says that is one of the dumbest endings in all of the MCU is when that plane crashes.
And that bothers me to no end.
Yeah, it kills me a little bit because I love the movie so much up until that point. But
and just out of the freaking blue, Howard Stark can find the Tesseract, but he can't find Tony. I mean, he can't find Cap.
Yeah, right.
Like that part just bothers me. I think it just falls apart in even you know what? I won't even give you half. The last third of the movie just falls apart for me. But hey, you know what? The next movie is Incredible Hulk on my list anyway, so we can put that as number 2. We can put that second to last, so I'm fine.
Now my problem with Incredible Hulk is I'm one of the people that I kind of didn't have a problem with Edward Norton's portrayal. I really didn't.
Either.
I thought he did pretty well as Banner. My problem with the Hulk though is like the love interest is awful. Another
actress that's underutilized.
Yeah, I mean the Abomination was
an abomination.
It was not a good portrayal of that. The leader just didn't work. Like none of it worked. You know, that was the problem.
The movie doesn't exist though. Like that's why I put it so low. Shannon, I mean, I think you agree with that, don't you? Like it probably deserves to be so low because they even act like it's the bastard child that doesn't exist. The only reason why we even still consider it part of this universe is because of General Ross. Yeah. If General Ross isn't in any of these movies, we're ranking 20 movies and not 21.
Yeah, I totally forgot about it when I was making my list, and then I was like, "Well, wait a minute, there was that whole movie." The
fight scenes are cool, though. I will say that
they're all right. I mean, like they're okay. I mean, I thought it was a little stupid.
When he takes the car and makes boxing gloves with the car,
that was straight out of the video game. That was straight out of.
But like when the dude gets the serum. And then he's just like staring down the Hulk, and he's just had like the first shot, and he's like already like trying to punk on the Hulk, and the Hulk just like judo kicks him into a tree face first. Like I was just like, dude, like this guy like is not a good just not a good villain. Like
I will say this. Something that this movie does better than a lot of other movies is that the build up for him turning into a Hulk was very well done. Like they didn't start off with just bombastic fight scene or something like that. Like there's a good 20 or 30 minutes before he transforms, and you would like if I told you that going in, you'd be pissed. But they build up to it so well. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Zach.
And I was going to say the real important thing that this movie did was it basically, for once and for all, let them know you can't have the Hulk be a title character.
Yeah,
like
agreed.
The Hulk doesn't work as a main character. He's a good side character.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Shannon.
I was gonna say it felt off. Like I don't know what about the whole tone of the movie. It just kind of it's like they were still trying to find themselves. Like they were still trying to find that secret sauce formula. It just
because if you think about it, Iron Man had just come out and it was a revelation, and like I don't know if y'all knew this, but they didn't even record that teaser for Avengers at the tag of the movie until like 2 or 3 weeks before release because they didn't know what they had. So no, I agree with you, Shane.
And then it tested throughout the roof, and they were like, "Oh wait, we have something here." Yeah.
I mean, and here's the thing: if Edward Norton isn't an a-hole and doesn't try to control everything, he is still Bruce Banner today.
Oh yeah.
Like
which I think is a very fortuitous thing because Ruffalo's way better.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, but when we break down Avengers, we'll talk about that more. But yes, you're absolutely right. Go ahead, Shannon. I'm sorry.
I think the one thing this movie got right though is the nature of the Hulk. Like they made him terrifying in this movie. Like he was scary to be around. He was like in the other ones, like he's unpredictable and he's like strong, but like this one you actually felt like he was a danger. Like he was a menace. And I like what they did with the character there. Just the rest of the movie and the application I just didn't really care about.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I'll just say this, and then we can move on because I think we spent too much time talking about the Hulk, which is second to last on our list. I will say this to partially disagree with you, Zach. I think a Hulk movie could work if they made it like a House of Horrors movie. Like,
well, yeah,
like he is the monster of the movie, and they're like trapped in Avengers Tower, and you can follow whatever character you want. It could be freaking Janet Pym if you want, and she's trying like Alien, like it's almost like Alien.
Well, it's the helicarrier scene from Avengers, at that point. Yeah, totally.
Which Joss Whedon did such a good job with.
Okay, so can we move on to probably the second worst villain in all of them, which is Whiplash and Iron Man 2? Can we go there?
Yeah, look.
Well, and let me put it this way.
You're right.
I liked Whiplash, but just such a wasted use of potential in that movie. Like
the fact that we have not seen Justin Hammer again is an abomination to pun intended. It like I think why can I not remember his name right now? The actor, Sam Rockwell.
Yeah.
Sam Rockwell's portrayal of Justin Hammer could have been the best villain in the Marvel universe because of how well he was portrayed. But because they use him as a putz by the end of the movie, and they don't show him again. They've referenced him again. I don't know if y'all have noticed that. They have referenced him again. They reference him in Doctor Strange. But the fact that we've never seen him again is completely just bonkers to me. Also, there's the casting change because Terrence Howard wanted to be paid as much as RDJ whenever he's not Iron Man. But like I'm not going to argue with it being third to last. It should be. I will just say this. There are some very fun parts in that movie.
But I mean, like, one of the major action sequences is Homeboy rolling out to an IndyCar race with electric whips. Like, come on. Like, really? That was like your big, like, ooh, look how badass Whiplash is. He's hacking up Indy cars. Like,
but the story element made sense because he just wanted to show that Iron Man wasn't invincible.
Oh, sure.
Like that. I love that.
No, but it's like there could have been a better setting for that.
Oh, yes.
That was just dumb.
But I'll just ask you guys this. I mean, look, Whiplash could have been top tier as low, but ends up being lower tier as a villain. His desire and what he's trying to do may have been the best motive of some of the villains. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like, oh, I'm going to destroy the world. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I want to prove that Tony Stark sucks. Like,
well, it's more, and also that, like, you know, yeah, you're all fawning over Tony Stark. Like, my dad built half that shit. Like, you know, and I mean that's
which was true.
Yeah,
it wasn't even fake. It was real.
Yeah, and so it's one of those, like, I get his motivations. It was just the execution of the idea.
Agreed.
Yeah. All right, Shannon, what you got next?
Okay, I think I'm gonna go with the Avengers: Age of Ultron. Is pretty low on my list. I didn't like it. It was that, I mean, you guys can fight me on it all you want, but like I didn't like James Spader as Ultron. I didn't like his voice. I wanted somebody else that was a little bit more, that did a better. Man. I don't know. I wanted somebody that had like a more menacing voice, and like I don't know. I just like the whole like no strings like kind of thing. I don't know. Like it was a little too on the nose for me, I think.
Okay, but man, I love Spader as Ultron.
Yeah, like
I love him as Ultron.
I remember that first trailer,
where
he sings "No Strings on Me." Like it was chilling.
Okay, you know what? It was in that small dose, but like
when he rips Claw's arm off, and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Oh, can I put that back on?" Like I don't know. Like there was comedic elements.
But that's the thing is like James Spader. I don't think he does comedy that well when he's trying to be that character. Like I think he was like I don't think he got enough direction on like what he was supposed to do. And there's moments where he's like that menacing, like dark, like brooding, like low speaking, and yeah, he's terrifying. Like, and he like Ultron is supposed to be that like terrifying guy. Like, but then like there's moments where he's trying to be funny and lighthearted and have like that comedic aspect, and that's not what I want out of Ultron. Like, I didn't want that type of like dichotomy in his character. I wanted him to be more motivated by.
I kind of agree with you that it belongs in this 7. I just don't know if it's this low. In this 7, like because it's one of those things. Like the movie does so many things absolutely right.
Yes,
like
it does.
Like Vision, perfect.
Yeah,
like
I like Vision.
The whole introduction of Vision is awesome. The scene where Vision just picks up Thor's hammer and hands it to him is amazing. Like, and the setup of that with the party sequence in the beginning, you know, but then the problem with Age of Ultron for me is it goes too long. Like,
yeah, it's like freaking 2.5 hours long.
But like the part that makes it so long is, you know, the made up country that falls.
Wachovia?
What?
Wachovia, I think.
Sokovia. Yeah. Which, you know, they need to set up the Sokovia Accords and Civil War and all that. But like that whole sequence, it just drags on forever, you know, and I'm sorry, Quicksilver shouldn't have gotten killed. I mean, I'm sure it was a rights issue, but like Quicksilver.
Aaron Johnson's portrayal of Quicksilver is amazing. And I know everyone loves the X-Men version of him, and you only love it because it's a different portrayal. But he is the actual portrayal from the comics of Quicksilver, and I love it. And I will say this. Here's the funny part. Just a quick aside. I love how Scarlet Witch has an accent for like 2 movies and didn't for Infinity War.
Yeah.
But okay, so I think Zach, I think I agree with you. Like it may belong in the bottom third, but I don't think it deserves to be this low.
Yeah.
Because
what would you nominate to replace it?
This is something you're going to push back hard on, but I have a really hard time enjoying Guardians of the Galaxy 2. 2, not 1, 2.
Now, see, for me, that
really
that seems like an 11 or 12 to me.
Like I'm not saying it's, again, let me preface, I'm not saying it's a bad movie, but
I actually think it's a better movie than the first Guardians of the Galaxy. It's just the first Guardians of the Galaxy is so damn fun.
Yes,
that it makes up for all of it.
I did not have that much fun in this movie. The music, I think, is actually probably better in this movie than the first one. But I hate the CGI final boss at the end. I don't like that they took, like, they made Peter Quill this power character and then they took the power away. Like, there's so many things about this movie that just frustrate me because it just feels like a retread of the first movie too.
I see what I would nominate here. It'd actually be Doctor Strange.
You know what? I would agree.
I would put Iron Man 3.
But see, this is where we're getting into the murky water, right? Because our first three movies, like the first, we were on fire. We dedicated, like, yeah, these are the three. Now we're like substituting. So we got to start voting, I think, or we got to do something. Or we got to put it up for a vote if none of us come to a conclusion.
I could get behind Iron Man 3 as much as I like Shane Black and his directing style. And
Iron Man 2 or no?
Iron Man. So if I understand correctly, right now we have Thor: Dark World, Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2.
Yes.
I think I am okay. I will not fight if we put Age of Ultron there, even though I don't agree at all.
Okay.
But I think Iron Man 3 probably belongs because in my listing or whatever right here, Iron Man 3 is the next movie.
Yeah, Iron
Man 3 is definitely on this section.
Yeah, that freaking twist. The freaking twist is not good. The fact that they took Mandarin, a character I'm a huge Tony Stark Iron Man fan. I have every Invincible Iron Man comic ever written. I love the Mandarin. And then to give me that sinister terrorist type thing was so cool and awesome. And then to switch it because Shane Black just wants to screw his stuff bothers me. It doesn't work for me.
And for me, as a fan of the comics, it just neuters the Mandarin as a potential villain.
Yes.
It's like, yeah, okay, I understand if you're not going to roll him into like a big bad down the line, but like, yo, the Mandarin is like a Doctor Doom level villain, and you just ruined it for no reason, you know?
And then you waste the you waste Guy Pearce with a very cheesy villain. And that movie. And now here's the positive for Iron Man 3 is that we get so much Tony Stark. Like I love seeing Tony Stark struggle. Like it's right after Avengers and his whole world has been rocked and he's got PTSD. Like that stuff is awesome and it's so well done. But I don't like almost anything else after that.
So what I have, what I wrote down while we were talking is 18 Iron Man 3, 17 Age of Ultron, 16 Doctor Strange. Does anyone argue that?
Wait, so 18 Iron Man 3, so you said 17 was Age of Ultron?
Yep.
And then 16 is Doctor Strange?
Yep.
I agree. I would go with that. What would you say?
I mean, I could be talked into moving Age of Ultron into 16.
See,
because I do support, like, it's pivotal in that it sets so much up that means so much to the rest of the Marvel universe.
What?
Age of Ultron. But I just don't think it was executed very well.
No, I'm actually a huge fan of Doctor Strange. Like, now I'm not saying top 10 or top 15 or anything like that's not what I'm saying. Hold on, let me see what I have. This 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 10. Going from bottom to up, I have it 10. So I guess actually I do have it pretty high up there. I think the first Thor should be next, or Guardians of the Galaxy 2, like should be next, because I think Age of Ultron does so many things right and gives us so many awesome moments that I think it deserves to be higher than Thor or Guardians 2. Like, okay, so let's talk about Thor for a second. I'm a huge fan of Thor. I think that the scene in the Bifrost with Anthony Hopkins, Chris Hemsworth, and Tom Hiddleston, where they are talking to each other, and Hiddleston goes at Odin for stealing him and tricking him and lying to him, is one of the most powerful scenes in these Marvel movies. But the CGI is really bad.
Mm-hmm.
The overall story is really good, but Kat Dennings is annoying. Like,
you know what? First blush, I didn't really wouldn't have put Thor. Thor wouldn't make my top 10. I mean, it wouldn't. But what's the villain? A big thing that shoots fire out of its face? Like, that's kind of dumb. You know,
Yes.
I mean, the villain's Loki, but the big bad monster is just stupid. And it's like, is it just me, or does the small American town they fight in just look like a movie set?
Yes.
You know, like so. It looks like a town that got built 2 weeks ago.
Now,
you know what I mean?
Like emotion, like I think the first Thor has emotional scenes that work so well that people actually should go back and watch if you don't believe Chris Hemsworth can act. Because when he's sitting, first of all, when he fails to pull the hammer, it works, it fits, but he doesn't say a word. But then when he sits in that room and he's chained, and Loki shows up, and Loki tells him that his father's dead, and that he's gone to Odin's sleep, and Thor it breaks Thor to apologize to him. Like it's just actually, you know what? I actually may move this higher now. Oh my gosh, I think I've talked myself into moving this higher. Screw it. We're gonna put Age of Ultron at that spot if you want. I don't care.
So how about this?
I really love Thor. Man, I really love that movie. If it was at 12:30, I want to watch it. I'd watch it right now.
How about this? We go 17 Age of Ultron, 16 Ant-Man and Wasp.
Okay.
15 Thor.
Hell no. Ant-Man and the Wasp is the best Ant-Man. And
no. Ant-Man is so much better.
No.
Dude.
Oh hell no.
No,
it's not.
Ant-Man is way better.
No, it is not. No, it is not. I just watched it last week again. Ant-Man and the Wasp is so much better. It is so much better. What? Janet Van Dyne is so much more well thought out. As a character, she's just not this like hot girl who knows how to fight. Like she has a personality. She knows what she wants. The villain is so awesome. I love Ghost. Like
I did like Ghost. I like Ghost a lot.
And I love that they brought in Goliath and made him part of this universe. I don't know why it had to be Lawrence Fishburne, but like that's perfectly fine because he's in the DC universe so much. But like I love that movie. I think that movie is so well done.
I thought it was a little like they relied a lot on like the shrinking and enlarging, like in shrinking and enlarging.
But
like,
that's what he is.
I know, but like I just felt it was utilized by people that weren't Ant-Man. Like it was utilized I just felt it was utilized by a lot of people that weren't like supposed to be using it. You know, I felt like I think the thing that kind of bums me out is that I don't get to see the Hank Pym like Ant-Man.
And that's fair. Like that's been a complaint that I've had since Avengers. That I thought it was like I remember telling my friends I hate that the Pyms aren't one of the founding members of the Avengers.
Yeah, because it ruins. It ruins the whole storyline of everything. Like Hank Pym was involved in creating Ultron
and Shield.
And Shield.
Like okay, so let me just say this: I actually have Ant-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp like together on my list, like they're side by side because I love those movies. Let me count where they are. Hold on one second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I just felt that Ant-Man and Wasp was more of an action movie.
10 and 11 are Ant-Man and the Wasp and Ant-Man. Like, okay.
Well,
didn't you say number 10 was Doctor Strange?
No, it's 12. I recounted correctly. 12 is Doctor Strange, 13 is Age of Ultron, 14 for me is Captain Marvel, and then 15 is Thor.
All right.
But again, I have the first Captain America in my bottom 7, which you guys do not agree with.
So. I'm willing to do this. How about this?
Yes, sir.
Age of Ultron, Thor, Guardians of the Galaxy 2. And I'm saying this because the longer we've sat here and I've thought about Guardians of the Galaxy 2, I actually didn't like a large chunk of that movie. I mean, I think my problem with Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is I really, really love those characters. Like, Yondu's one of my favorite characters. I love Drax. I love Rocket. Groot's awesome. It's just the whole Kurt Russell Ego the Living Planet thing just didn't really work for me.
No, because they freaking take away Quill's power, and and I don't care what anyone says. The only reason why they did that is because Infinity War was coming, and they didn't want there to be some super celestial being to be able to fight Thanos. Like, that's the only reason why they did it.
And it's one of those things where I don't know. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 felt like a stepping stone to get to the next movie, more than its own movie, in a sense. If that
it was just a filler. It felt like a filler.
And also, it's such a step down from the first Guardians.
Yes.
The first Guardians is such a great movie.
I think the one thing I didn't like about Guardians of the Galaxy was that it seemed like they wanted to make Drax more of like a comedic figure. And like they leaned really heavily on that.
Him and Mantis. Mantis is used a lot. Now, for Guardians of the Galaxy 2, I will say this. And I don't know if y'all had the same reaction, but when why am I forgetting his name? The bad guy.
Ego.
When Ego looks at Peter and says, I'm really sorry I had to give your mom cancer.
Yeah.
Like that, my mouth dropped, and like it shocked me. Like, that caught me off guard.
Now, see, it's funny. I kind of saw that coming. And I was like, yeah, all right. Because...
Well, but I didn't think it was on purpose. Like...
I see what you're saying.
He purposely did it.
Oh, okay.
To kill her.
Yeah.
So, if you will, Zach, read the list to me backwards, from least to worst, or worst to best.
Okay. So 21, we have Thor: The Dark World.
Yes.
20, The Incredible Hulk.
Yes.
19 is Iron Man 2. 18 is Iron Man 3.
Yes.
17 is Age of Ultron. 16 is Thor. 15, Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Sure.
Can we put Thor ahead of Guardians of the Galaxy 2?
He's hyping himself up on that Thor train now.
Dude, Thor is such a concept that could have been a big failure. Think about this. Oh, we're going to go to a realm where everything's shiny and pretty and everything's Nordic, and no one knows what Nordic means right now. And it just works. Like, freaking Anthony Hopkins and Tom Hiddleston chew up scenery so awesomely. Like, you're right, though. The villain at the end, the Destroyer, I think that's his name, Destroyer, he does suck. But the build up to that, and the fish out of water moments with Chris Hemsworth, where he's like chugging a beer and he throws down the glass, like, bring me another, and Natalie Portman is actually used kind of okay, even though I stand by this, that in origin films, we don't always need a love interest. But that's the thing that Marvel has done from the beginning, except for Captain Marvel, which was really good for them not to do that. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 just bums me out, man. Okay. It just bums me out.
I can actually make that switch just for that reason, because it also bummed me out. So I think.
But I will say this: Shannon makes a really good argument about Age of Ultron, because Age of Ultron essentially, Ultron's big diabolical plan is essentially the same storyline as Superman 2 or Superman 1. And Lex Luthor wants to take some part of land and turn it into something to destroy the rest of the world. So
I mean, hey, you gotta celebrate the classics, Yeah,
that's true. Okay, so one last time for the readers, Zach. Read the list.
Thor: Dark World, Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3, Age of Ultron, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and Thor.
Shannon, are you okay with that? What bothers you the most? I think it's Guardians 2, isn't it?
No, I'm fine with let's keep that list. I'm fine. I can live with that list.
Okay.
Y'all realize the next round we're gonna find a lot, right?
That's actually what I'm sitting here thinking about. Is like, fuck, man. 14 through 17 is going to be 14 through 7 is going to be such a bloodbath.
It's going to be hard.
Yeah, because
it making this list, it ramped up, like the difficulty ramped up fast.
Yeah, this is going to be like the Dark Souls of lists. Like,
oh my gosh, yes. Because looking at my list, I'm like, man, Age of Ultron's fine. It's gonna be in the middle of the pack. No, hell no. It's at the bottom third.
Well, because when you start thinking about it, it's like, no, I like that movie better. And I like that movie better. And I like that movie better.
Dude,
and it's like, yeah.
I'm not kidding. On my list, Thor was in the bottom 5, and now it's moved all the way up to the top of this third.
The one thing though that like I have an issue with is like I didn't really care for Doctor Strange. I know you liked it a lot, Robbie, but like,
and that's just because it sticks to the comic so well. But go ahead, I'm listening.
But like I didn't really you want to talk about a filler movie, like that movie felt like a filler movie just because I mean like visually it was beautiful, but like at some points I felt it was so there was so much going on, it was hard to follow like what they were trying to get you to like what they wanted you to see or what they wanted you to understand. So and I didn't feel, I mean, once the final battle happened, yeah, that was cool. But I think the lead up to it, like, was kind of boring to me in a couple ways. Like, there wasn't enough action to carry me through the movie.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So no, I was just gonna say. So like to me, like I think that kind of rounded out my like bottom 7. Like that was like sitting right at like that 15 point because like it was beautiful and it was it was a good
well
movie.
Acted.
Yeah, it was well acted, but like it just didn't have enough oomph to put it in the upper echelon.
Well, it does fall into the same category of the rest of these Marvel films where they waste an awesome female talent in Rachel McAdams. They force another love story which didn't need to be there.
I was gonna say waste Tilda Swinton, but okay.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the character of Doctor Strange, they get perfect.
And Benedict Cumberbatch is perfect as Doctor Strange. Like he is.
Just following that character's narrative through the being basically Tony Stark, but as a doctor, and then losing everything in his hands, and then finding worth somewhere else. Like you're right, Shannon, that at times it does feel like a filler, but it also gives us something that we didn't know we needed for Infinity War, which is the concept of magic. And if we don't have Doctor Strange, we never get the phrase, we're in the end game now. And that is so important. And so, look, I'm not going to fight tooth and nail, but I would like to just say that I would not like that to be ranked there.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Because
well,
Doctor Strange didn't disappoint me.
Let's be fair. I think it's going to be in the 12 to 14 range when we get going next week, and I think I'm fine with that. I think I'm okay.
You know what?
That.
I'll go ahead and tell you, Shannon. We can put it 14 if you want, buddy. We can put it there. We don't even have to talk about it.
Spoilers.
We don't even have to talk about it. We'll just put it 14, man. We don't have to discuss this. But I'm letting people know now. We're not going to argue.
You know what? I'm going to make it 14 right now, and that's going to just eliminate a spot because next week we are going to be talking. Right?
I don't think we're going to argue a lot at the top 7. I think we're going to argue a lot. This middle group. It's
we're going to argue all the way through the end. Like I'm going to argue with everybody.
I just like this is. I think it's going to be like when people argue about Lord of the Rings, like which one's the best one, and everyone wants to say Two Towers is the best one because it has the awesome action sequence, the huge fight scene. You're like,
I would say it's Return of the King.
I would say it's the worst one, but okay.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Like, because like nothing happens except for that battle.
Yeah.
But that's also kind of in the same of the book. But anyway,
I would also say none of them. Oh,
snap!
Shannon,
we were having such a lovely night. You
just better hope I don't come to LA again, bro. Just pray I don't come to LA again. But no, So let me just ask y'all this, because I wanted to preface with this before we started ranking them. I want to get your opinions just overall. Like, how do you feel about the Marvel Universe just in general?
Oh, I'm incredibly positive on it. I mean, we have movies that I like, obviously less than others, but I haven't not enjoyed any of them, Yeah. I mean, I think they're all immensely watchable. It's and I just love the idea of it. And it's funny to see everyone try to copy it in a sense by creating like universes that all connect and all these movies that are interlaced, but they did it right. They've got one overarching storyline that's weaving its way through all these different characters and all these different players, and they're all rolling in, a movie at a time, and it builds the lore. They did an amazing job of building the world that I enjoy watching. And I think that it's just a thing that I don't know if you can really copy. It's just, they do it so well.
And I agree with you. Oh, Shani, go ahead. I asked you a question. You should have an opportunity to answer it. Go ahead.
I don't really have anything else to say. I mean, it's just, I mean, other than the fact that it seems towards the end they started to suffer from, realizing that there were some plot holes that they needed to shore up. So there are a couple movies that do feel more rushed. Like they're just kind of like set pieces to fill out the story more. I just, other than that, I think they're doing a great job. And I'm really kind of curious to see if when they started with that first Iron Man movie, if this was what they had in mind. Like if this was something that developed along the way, or if this is something that like from the beginning, they were like, this is what we want. We want like a 10-year cycle. We have this first phase, we have the second phase, we have the third phase. And like at the end, it's going to be this huge fucking movie with like 30 famous people, like almost to the point where like we can't even put like a picture on there because we have to put everybody's name on the poster. That's how many stars are going to be in this thing. Like it's just it's amazing. Like for somebody to do this, it's amazing.
I would like to think that the vision for the Marvel Universe didn't come together until the years between Iron Man 1 and Iron Man 2. Mm-hmm. Like that was whenever they realized what they had, and that's when they started building the blocks for towards Avengers. That's when we start getting castings for Chris Evans and Chris Hemsworth, and just hearing, like, you should do some research, guys, if you're interested on the stories behind the casting of those two characters and how we almost didn't have either one of these guys, and how we almost had Liam Hemsworth as Thor and Chris Hemsworth as Loki. Like,
oh wow,
and how this, and because they're real brothers, and how that dynamic would have worked. For me, I'm a comic book nerd, and so but I love everything. Like I'm that guy who goes to movies and I just try to find reasons and ways to like every movie that I watch, especially when it comes to nerd culture, because my thought is, as a kid, I never thought I'd get to see this. So getting to see it, like, I'll even tell you positive things about Batman vs. Superman, or Justice League, or heck, sadly, even Suicide Squad. Like, I just love when these movies are made. But Marvel has continued to blow expectations out of the water.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot wait to see what they do next, because I have no idea what they're going to do.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too. Is like, where do you go from here? I mean,
yeah,
by the acquiring Fox, though, you now get Doctor Doom and that whole thing, and it's like, I would like the next arc to be Earth based if they can.
Yeah, they need to go smaller scale.
Yeah,
again, we talked about this a little bit, but this is what I loved about Shazam. Like, Shazam isn't trying to be like, yes, there's references to the other characters, but they try to keep it small, tight within the city. And I think that's what they need to do here. I agree with you. Now, here's the one complaint that I do have about not a specific movie, just the movies in general, I do kind of dislike that everything has to be connected in the sense of every villain, every power source has to be connected to an Infinity Stone. Like the fact that the Eye of Agamotto is the time stone angers me to no end.
Yeah.
Or no spoilers because they did the same thing in Captain Marvel. Like it's connected to one of the Infinity Stones, and it started with Thor 2. It started with Thor 2 where we have to just connect everything to the Infinity Stones, and I just didn't need that.
Oh man, I think you just made me realize something that I didn't want to realize, but we can talk about it later.
What is it? I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's because I haven't seen Captain Marvel yet, and I suddenly had to did they just make Captain Marvel Adam Warlock? Is that what happened?
Oh no.
Okay.
But like
because I did have the thought with Endgame coming up. I'm like, Adam Warlock's who wins the Infinity Gauntlet in the comic book, and they have not introduced him at all.
Well, he's at the end of Guardians 2.
Exactly, but bro, that's been 4 movies since Guardians 2, and there's still no Adam Warlock. So
that's true.
I'm terrified that they're gonna Deus Ex Machina this, and just Adam Warlock's gonna show up and they win. You know what I mean?
I mean, the way Guardians 2 paints him, he's going to be a villain at first, which is interesting. Is there a movie of this series that you kind of just don't need at all? Like, you just kind of was like, hey, this one can go.
Well, Incredible Hulk, but we've already said that's kind of an outlier.
Do you really want me to say it? Are you really gonna make me say it?
Yeah, no, go ahead, Shane. I'm curious.
Captain Marvel.
All right.
I don't think that. I mean, I think that her movie. It felt like it was just kind of a placeholder to get us to Endgame, like just to kind of tell us why she's there. Like
it's Captain America. Like it feels like Captain America. Like not and look, it's obviously I don't think it's horrible because it's not my bottom 7, but it does kind of feel like, hey guys, this is just to hold you over until like you just had Chinese food, and so here's your Chinese food, you get the real meal. For me, I
put Iron Man 3 there. Also.
Yeah, like I was just about to say, Iron Man 3. I don't need Iron Man 3, and I think Guardians of the Galaxy 2 should have been a different movie.
Yeah, I think the only reason
it changes the fabric of it changes everything.
Yeah, I think the only reason Guardians 2 is that low on the list for me is because it was just disappointing. Yeah. Because I love those characters and the actors that portray them so much. Like that was it.
Yeah, I agree with you. And who knew Bradley Cooper could be so incredibly good looking and be a great voice actor as well?
I know. Rocket's amazing.
Same with Vin Diesel, right?
Yes, that's true. I mean, that's true. Who knew that Groot just saying "I am Groot" could be so touching?
I love it in Infinity War when he's like, "Oh, this is my friend," as he's like stabbing like 5 of those things with his arm, and he's like, "I am Groot." And Steve Rogers is like, "I am Steve." It's classic. It's just so good.
So next week is what you said, 13-7.
Yeah, 13-7. 6 movies.
It's gonna be so.
It's gonna be a bloodbath. It's gonna be rough. It's gonna be our own Wakanda battlefield over here.
Because this is a little teaser. I'm gonna have a very recent movie, not Captain Marvel, a very recent movie in that list, and y'all are not gonna like it.
Dude, really? Oh, dude. Okay, let's do this. I'm already getting ready for next week.
All right. Well, let's wrap this one up because we have gone.
Yeah, I've got to go to bed. It's 1:00 my bed, and I don't have daycare tomorrow, so it's me and little man. So.
Oh boy!
But damn it was worth it. This was fun.
Yeah. It was.
All right. So that has been the first part of our grand ranking. Join us next week for the second part, and in the meantime, follow us on Twitter at @ThatPixelLife. I'll tweet out the rankings tomorrow and get up on the Facebook group. I bet this will definitely spark some conversation, good or bad or indifferent. Yell at us, tell us how bad we are. Get up on iTunes, give us some reviews, good, bad, indifferent. Love to hear all the feedback if you got it. And in the meantime, enjoy some movies. Be good to each other. Have a good week.
Bye.